Welcome back to the shop. So making a stocking hanger, pretty simple project, but it's a lot of fun to do. This is a 48-inch wide board, 4.5 inches tall. We're going to find center here so that I can round the corners over. We're going to put a mark on that piece of sandpaper so that we know that we're in the same exact spot on both ends when I do this. I'm going to round these corners over with the bandsaw and then sand them off with the disc sander. Pilot holes. Those holes are 7.5 inches center to center across. They begin at 1.5 inches from each end, and they are 1.5 inches from the bottom. Doing both sides will prevent the tear out, so we're just starting the hole on the other side, and then we're finishing it on this side. Obviously, if we went all the way through, this is a piece of oak, as I said, it will tear out rather badly. And when you're done, you'll have something that looks like this. 4.5 by 48 with 7 holes in it. Obviously, you can adjust that if you have fewer or more stockings. Now here, the board came around and hit the camera. I didn't pay attention to where it landed when it came back, so sorry for the camera angle here. But getting close to the line, not touching it, and then we go out to the disc sander and round it back off. And there you are, all rounded. Drawing a line here so that I know where to locate the laser, which is going to be right there on that corner. That's not a corner, on that flat. Right where that arrow is. I'm going to take the router and put a 3/16 round over on everything, every surface, all the way around. Rounding the holes, both sides. That way we're not going to have any splinters or slivers when you're hanging these things. The entire piece will be sanded smooth. And here we go with the laser. I want to thank Acmer for this. Now, you could use a stencil to do this. You could do a V-carve on your CNC if you had one. And here we go with the legs. These are 2x4 material that I sliced to 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches square, 42 inches tall or long. The laser is still hard at work. That black hose is my dust collection. Now you see those two metal plates, those are preventing the piece from shifting. We're going to drill 2 holes in each leg on the top. You can see the mark there, that is the thickness of the board at 4.5. I want the screws to fall through this so that they're easily connected to the crossboard. Laser doing its job. And as you can see, this was bigger than my machine, so we had to do a pass-through in order to make this work. Here are the feet for the thing. They are 9 by 12. Again, rounding each corner. We drilled a hole in the center, and that's how we're going to attach the leg, with a screw in the center. And I went back in later and I put a second screw next to the first one to prevent the legs from spinning on the top of the foot. Countersinking the holes so they don't scratch your floor when you send the screws in, of course. Using 2-inch screws here. Just checking to see if the countersink was deep enough on that. Alright, we'll take the leg. We'll just position it 90 degrees. I've already pre-drilled a hole in the center of that leg, so I know where center is. Push the screw through, line up the hole in the center with the screw, and send it home. Pretty easy stuff right there. Now this isn't a structural project, this is a decorative project, so we don't have to get crazy with the bracing and all of that. My wife wanted to make sure that I could take this thing apart for storage, so there's no glue being used. And there you are, 42.5 inches tall. Coming down to the end here on the carving. Now here what I'm doing is I've slid these clamps into my bench to hold the legs in the position I want. I'm going to take the tape measure and calculate how wide I want the crossboard, and not how wide I want the crossboard, where I want the legs to land on the crossboard. And I'm giving it a 2-inch overhang on each side. So we should be good there. Just makes everything easier. I'm going to put these little plates on the bottom, on those lines that you saw when I was drilling the holes. Basically, I'm adding a couple of hands here so that I don't have to try and hold this board. And that's it. We're done. That laser does an incredible job. And obviously you could put any design you'd like on there, but I thought that one was kind of neat. Sanding it off lightly on the top to take the burn mark off or the stain that's made from the laser so that you have a nice crisp edge. I'm not applying any finish to this because I do have a little guy running around, my grandson, who is liable to touch this thing and mess with it, maybe even bite it, and I don't want to have that chemical in his system. So again, rounding every corner with a 3/16 on the legs. I took them back apart to do this because I realized I had forgotten. And here we'll put it back together. Fumbling a little bit. I should have just put the board in the vise and put it together that way, but we get through it. This was a fun project, it really was. It wasn't overly complicated. It was just a fun time in the shop putting this thing together, and my wife really seemed to enjoy it. There you go. Now we'll put the crossbar on it. 2 screws in the back. Again, no glue because we want to be able to take this thing apart for storage. And obviously we're running the screws in from the back side so that it doesn't mess up the design on the front. And that's pretty much it. Take this thing in the house and we'll hang some stockings off of it. Don't need those anymore. My wife had purchased those big hooks off the Jungle Store, Amazon, so that we could hang these things. She's in the other room. I carried this thing in the house without letting her know that it was finished. I was trying to get the stockings on and things done before she noticed, which I pulled off, but being a man, I didn't get the stockings in the right position, so she had to adjust them later. But I want to thank everybody for watching. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. Please give me a like, share, and subscribe to this video, or subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.